so much for coming in. I know it's a cool night. We went from summer to winter all in one day. Just totally skipped fall.
I don't like to hear you in the back, so you're talking.
Oh, okay. Hey guys. So we're gonna turn it over to him in just a minute. We're gonna take care of some business. This is our annual elections for officers. Mike couldn't be here tonight. He had to make a sudden trip to the Mayo Clinic to take his wife, who's not doing well. So he's gone to do that, but he is up for re-election, and I am vice president of the association, and we've got Don. Right, are you returning? Okay. So Don Yenny is treasurer, and then our secretary position is still vacant, unless we got some newly retired volunteer back there in the back that wants to volunteer.
Scratch your head.
Our other members at large are Don Harris, there you go, thank you, and Darlene Kreitz.
Chris.
Thank you. And then another vacant position that's open. So do we have any other nominations? Anybody want to throw out a name out there?
Is that for a board membership?
No,
What's
this is,
No, what is it for?
Yes, for the annual board.
And what does the annual board do as far as people who participate?
Kind of take care of the things, the active, as far as the neighborhood national night out, our pet clinics, our 4th of July parade.
You tell me what the deals are, but what do the board members do?
Well, Mike sends out most of the emails, you know, whenever things come up, as far as anything like with the railroad crossing and that kind of stuff. And then the rest of us just kind of volunteer and help take care of other things for the neighborhood.
Just curious, thank you.
Well, and the
It's not a lot of
large
work.
members aren't that much, though. The large members are mainly, you can get in and see what's going on in the organization without really having to do too much.
Yeah.
You know, there's no real requirement for an at-large member other than to sit in a board meeting and help make some decisions, like, shall we increase this donation by 10%
You know,
this year?
we give to
or so
Deepwood
forth.
and Chisholm and, you know, the Round High School band and.
How often? You tell me, once a quarter, the board meeting?
That's about right.
And then is it usually over here in the evenings and stuff like that?
Or at someone's home, you know, one of our homes. So it's pretty quick and easy and painless, or, you know, afternoon. So are you willing to volunteer?
Against my better practice, but yes, I will.
Okay, and which position would you want to be, secretary or a member at large?
Member at large.
Okay. And
My
you're-
secretary skills, I brought my secretary skills with me today, that was it.
There you go.
Okay, so we still have a secretary position open back there. Anybody else want to? I mean, obviously it's been vacant, but we managed, so we all just kind of pick up the slack. So, okay, so are there any nominations? Okay, so I guess all who are in favor of those who are on the ballot, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Oh, there we go. Re-elected. Okay, so now tonight, we're obviously going to have a guest speaker from the school board. School district, okay. So Ramiro is going to talk to us about the school bond that's going to be coming up for the election and tell us all about it. And do you want to just present and then answer questions afterwards?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Good evening. Again, my name is Ramiro Flores. I'm the interim chief financial officer for the school district. I retired and they asked me to come back because they had the CFO left, and so they needed someone for transition. So I'm here tonight, and I appreciate your invitation to go over Bond 2018 program. We have a video for you that's going to cover a lot of the information. There is a presentation, but I'm going to kind of scoop through that. A lot of it is repetitive, so I don't want to double dose you with it. So then if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer questions.
As Round Rock ISD surpasses 50,000 students and adds approximately 800 students each year, the average size of an elementary school Planning for the future is critical to ensure that students have the resources they deserve while receiving the highest quality of education. Part of that planning included refreshing the district's strategic plan, which represents the district's course of action for academic initiatives and offerings for the next decade, with the help of nearly 2,700 community members who provided guidance and feedback. More than 300 community members also came together for hundreds of hours over the course of 8 months to serve on the Citizens Bond Committee, identifying and prioritizing campus needs and developing recommendations to share with the Board of Trustees. As a result of that work, the Board of Trustees has determined the next step forward is to call for a bond election to address growth and safety needs across the district.
Motion carries.
The community will now have the opportunity to cast their vote on November 6, 2018. Projects in Bond 2018 include building and renovating classrooms, adding safety and security systems, expanding career technology programming, modernizing and improving McNeil and Westwood High Schools, upgrading playgrounds to make them safer and accessible for children with special needs, and providing additional technology resources across the district. The $508.4 million bond package will be presented to voters in one proposition. The key projects currently planned include a new elementary campus to address enrollment growth at Harrington Elementary School in Northeast Round Rock, which left unaddressed will increase to 1,600 students in less than 10 years. Classroom and cafeteria expansions will occur at Brushy Creek and Caraway Elementary Schools to eliminate the need for portable classroom buildings. The cafeteria and courtyard at Stony Point High School will be extended. The bond will also fund construction of Phase 4A and 4B of Westwood High School's master plan. The district's second oldest high school will see the addition of flexible classroom spaces, the expansion of spaces for dance and ROTC, and renovations of fine arts spaces. Progress on McNeil High School's master plan will also continue with funding for Phase 2A, which includes renovations for administration, expansion of the cafeteria, construction of a new science addition, and facility improvements for athletics. C.D. Folks Middle School, the district's oldest facility, will be rebuilt to align with the design of more modern Round Rock ISD middle schools and undergo learning space additions to replace aging facilities. The rebuilding process would utilize the iconic portions of the campus as much as possible. Campus security is top of mind for everyone. An independent study identified technology needs to enhance safety and security at our schools. District-wide projects include a student and staff badging system, two-way communication system, and video surveillance and visitor management systems. All campuses will receive a replacement and/or upgrade to door hardware and key systems that will help keep schools secure. Aging buses will be replaced and the district's fleet of buses will be increased to accommodate growth. To further enhance safety on buses, buses will be equipped with GPS tracking systems and upgraded video surveillance systems. Ensuring a comfortable, functional, and efficient learning environment is a priority for our community. Heating and air conditioning, roofing, electrical and plumbing systems, and flooring will undergo replacement at various campuses. Playgrounds at many campuses will also see the installation of shade structures, ground covers, and new equipment. Round Rock ISD has a tradition of providing equal access to technology for students across the district. The bond proposal includes replacing student laptops, laptop carts, and also replacing out-of-date projectors at elementary campuses with wall-mounted interactive flat panels. At secondary campuses, old projectors will be replaced with new projectors along with new ceiling speakers. District-wide technology infrastructure will also be improved through expansions to storage and servers. Purchasing land, a master plan design, and initial construction is the next step in expanding the district's early college high school. The school, which gives students the opportunity to get a jump start on earning college credit, is currently starting its third year housed in portables on the Austin Community College Round Rock campus. Student enrollment is continuing to grow, and a brick-and-mortar facility will address safety and equity concerns and provide a learner-focused environment. To accommodate our growing competitive swim programs and address a lack of equitable access to community practice facilities, a swim practice facility will be constructed to serve competitive swim programs in its proximity. District middle schools will see updates and expansions to athletic facilities, including training additions at Grisham and Chisholm Trail Middle Schools, a practice gymnasium and weight room expansion at Hernandez Middle School, and track enhancements around the district to repair cracked conditions. If approved by voters, the $508.4 million bond package will result in no tax rate increase for Round Rock ISD property owners. There are two types of taxes that make up your annual school tax bill. The first tax is referred to as the Maintenance and Operations Tax, or M&O. State law prohibits this tax to go above $1.04 per $100 valuation without voter approval. M&O dollars are used for salaries, a district's largest expense, making up more than 80% of the budget, and for paying operating expenses, such as campus supplies and utility bills. Round Rock ISD has not asked voters to increase its M&O tax rate. The second tax is called Interest and Sinking, or I&S, and is used to pay debt service on the district school bonds. In Texas, school bonds are typically the funding mechanism for construction and capital improvements. When voters approve a bond proposition, they authorize a school district to sell bonds to pay for new facilities, additions, and renovations and the purchase of land, buses, technology equipment, and capital renewal and replacement items. The bonds are repaid through a portion of the taxes paid by property owners. By law, bond funds cannot be used for operating expenses. The current total tax rate for Round Rock ISD is $1.3048 per $100 valuation. $1.04 is for M&O and just over 26 cents for debt service. This rate is a reflection of the district's efforts to maintain the district's tax rate as one of the lowest in the region, help reduce the district's overall debt, and prepare for continued growth. In recognition of the district's debt management strategy, Round Rock ISD is the only school district in Texas out of 1,200 districts to achieve a AAA bond rating from both Moody's and Fitch credit rating agencies. Based on current and projected assessed valuations in the district, the passage of the bond proposition will result in no tax rate increase to Round Rock ISD property owners.
Each year, we welcome more and more students through our classroom doors. Round Rock ISD is growing, and we know why. Every day, we hear from people moving to our district for a world-class educational experience in a public school setting. As we reach the milestone of 50,000 students, Round Rock ISD is the 21st largest school district in the state of Texas of over 1,200 school districts. We remain dedicated to financial stewardship and providing our students with the absolute best academic opportunities possible. As we approach November 6th, I encourage you to seek out more information on this bond proposition, so please stay connected to our district's website, Facebook, and Twitter pages. I also encourage you to vote, regardless of where you may stand. Take this opportunity to make your voice heard by casting your vote on November 6th. Voting information can be found on the Travis and Williamson County websites and will be available on the district's website through Election Day. Thank you for taking the time to educate yourself about our upcoming bond election and for all that you do to support our students, our staff, and our schools. Together, we are one family, one future.
Most of the presentation, like I said, is repetitive, so I'm going to try to go through it fairly quickly. The biggest part here is the fact that this was a process that took quite a bit of time to get to the final list of projects that were prioritized. Started with the 2,700 community members that did the strategic plan. What that provides is guidance for where we want to go in the future. The CBC had 300 members, 300 plus members, and so basically the timeline started back in January 2018 and ended on August the 20th when the board took formal action to move forward with the bond election. The strategic plan goals, this is part of that's 2,700 groups, and like the first one is one of the things that is very evident in this bond program We will ensure that all facilities are safe and advanced learning for every student while planning with our community for sustainable growth. There's a lot of items in here for security, safety and security. And then the others are goals, and most of the items are supportive of those goals. These are our board members and Dr. Flores. Just a quick review of the individuals that were in leadership capacity for the community bond committee. And Chris Parker was chair, David Hanson is a vice chair, and then we had additional appointed leaders that helped. And so these leaders basically came together and tried to come up with a recommendation for the Board of Trustees. So they started off with a list of about 800 million in identified priorities, and they moved forward about 508 million, or that's the final proposition, 508.4 million for this bond election. On this note, it's important that we notice that we are one of the lowest tax rates in the area. The only one that's a little bit lower than us is Austin ISD, but that's because of their big city, big dollar for property values. This slide actually is a little bit probably outdated because at the beginning of this year, we actually hit 50,300. We weren't supposed to get to that point till the following year. So this year, instead of 1,654 students that we were projected to grow, we've actually grown about 1,300. We're one of very few school districts. There's 1 in 7 school districts that have, I believe it's the Moody's AAA, and only one that has a AAA from Fitch, which is a credit rating agency. That's what helps us to be able to, when we sell our bonds, our pricing is better because of our AAA ratings. When we work through this bond, strategic bond sales, we don't sell the whole 508 million at one time. We know we're not going to be able to do that much work in 1 year, so we try to spread it out over 3 sales. And that allows us to start targeting our high priority projects the first year and start moving down the list, if you will. And the district actually decreased the tax rate from when we did bond 2014. We had projected a little, almost 35 cents was the cost to fund that bond, and actually was lower than that. The board actually dropped it to almost 30 cents, or under 30 cents, I should say. And so we're projected within our property values to be able to sustain the 26.48 cents that we currently have. And this is important from the standpoint of it, there is no tax rate increase, meaning that we'll stay at 26.48. That doesn't mean that your tax bill won't go higher simply because property values go up, and the property value amount is what's going to generate a tax bill. Even if this bond didn't pass, you would still get that raise in taxes in your tax bill because it's going to be taxed at the same rate of 26.48. I'm not going to go over the 2 types of tax rates. All to say is that we have tried to position ourselves. We've done some things to try to refund bonds, to try to do several what we call cash defeasance, where we'll pay debt ahead of the curve to try to be able to maintain that 26-cent tax rate. But again, it's done with a result of savings. Like in one particular case, we saved $14 million in net present value, meaning that that's money that we don't have to spend for in the future. One of the things that you all probably are familiar with is Robinhood. And Robinhood has to do with state formulas. When school districts reach a certain level of wealth, 514,000 per what we have, what's called WADA. It's a weighted ADA. that automatically kicks you into the payback club. So we have to, our actual values are a lot higher than the 514, so that's why we have to pay back to the state. This current year, we're scheduled a little bit over $32 million that we're going to send back to the state. Next year is going to go up to $58 million based on our projections. So the one thing about this is that recapture does not affect the debt service or the INS side of the house. It is basically kept here to be able to fund projects for the community. So this does not impact that INS side of the house. One of the things that, for quick information, the 32 million represents about 8.75% of the total tax collections that we have in Round Rock ISD. That gives you an idea of how much.
And that percentage goes to other districts, correct?
Yes,
It's spread out through other districts.
right. They basically collect any money that goes over the wealth levels, that goes back to the state, and the state then is supposed to help the state so that they don't have to pay more than tax for state funding. So it goes back to 4 school districts. There's a lot of projects, and again, I'm not going to go through the list. You have, I believe, the big flyer that has a lot of the items that are on the list. But we do have several big projects that are related to what we call growth. Capital renewal is just doing all the major systems in a building, HVAC, wiring, fire alarms, all of those things that pretty much keep us running our facilities in a comfortable environment, in a safe environment. Under growth, the 2 main projects that we have is a continuation of Phase 4 of Westwood High School. If you're not familiar with methodology, Round Rock High School was built over multiple phases. The only one, Cedar Ridge, was brand new. That was a one-time fund. Westwood is under 4 phases. This is your 4th and final phase. And then McNeil started with their phases in the previous model. So this will be Phase 2A for McNeil High School. We also have an elementary on the east side that we do have some property. We're going to make sure, we're not sure exactly where it's going to be built, but we do have some property on the east side that will help to relieve Harrington Elementary, which the video talked about is under strain right now because of the growth. We really need another campus on the west side, but the difficulty is that we haven't been able to find land. It would take us about a 16-acre tract, and so that's why there isn't any money for our elementary campus on the west side at this point in time. One of the things that also C.D. Fultz Middle School, one of the oldest facilities, used to be the high school here many moons ago, and that is going to be a new reconstruction. They're still trying to decide how they're going to approach it. We're going to be a total demolish or try to see what can be saved. That's still part of the process.
Will the new one still be in the same location no matter what?
Yes, it'll be in the same location. Then the other thing that of interest that has come up is the practice pool. For your information, there is a swim practice pool. It's not an auditorium or anything of the shape of the world here. It is supposed to be basically, it's a covered area to be able to have an enclosed environment during the winter when children are out, that they can be comfortable and not have to be exposed to the elements. It can be adapted, the plan is set up so that if we want to grow the facility, it can be grown, but at this time it's going to be simply a practice pool.
Where would that be?
There's a couple of sites that they're looking at. Again, they're not 100% sure. Like at Cedar Ridge, there's a lot of acreage in front that might be one of the possibilities. I think there's another area, I'm not sure if it's in the, trying to think, there was another side turning on the side.
I just knew it would be on the east side.
Basically, it's gonna be on the east side.
Is there one by that new sports complex that's north of,
I'm sorry?
is there one near the sports complex that's north of 3406? Is there a swim area in that new, great big new sports?
That's a Round Rock, I believe. That's a city of Round Rock.
Oh, no, there's not a pool. There's not, okay.
The thing is that two of our swimming teams right now are going to what's called Waterloo Park, and that's an enclosed environment, so they have facilities there. Stony Point is going to Hawaii, and so they have an enclosed environment there. So Round Rock High School and Cedar Ridge are the ones right now that are kind of exposed to the elements. Cover most of these. Safety and security, there's about almost $30 million in safety and security features. And we have a bond website. On our website, there's a bond section that talks a lot about bond, frequently asked questions and so forth. So if you don't have anything else to do in the evening, I want to take advantage of that. Important dates, we have had 4 of the 5 community forums. We're going to have the last one for McNeil at the Jolie Elementary campus. Excuse me. And then just information on voting. Early voting does start October 22nd, which is just around the corner. So with that, are there any other questions that I might be able to answer? Yes, sir.
Westwood historically has been a small campus. I'm just surprised you've got more room to add something over there. Or are they purchasing any more land, or which I wouldn't think there's any land bought?
You're absolutely right. It is a very, acreage-wise, it's very small. But there are some areas where the first part is internal, where we're going to go in their music areas and revamp those.
Okay.
They're going to add an ROTC facility, I believe, and believe there's a dance area as well. That's going to go in the back of the school. There's a kind of a little section that's going to backfill. And then the final item is they're going to take, instead of, they have 13 portables, instead of the portables are going to go part of that.
Okay.
There's going to be a 2-story facility. So again, as far as structure, it's not as big.
Probably eliminate the portables.
Eliminate the portables, yes, sir.
Where will students go to school, but if they construct a new CD Folks campus, where will they, or will it be done in phases, or?
Yeah. Well, that goes back to the planning. One of the thoughts they have right now is to start building a facility where the football field is.
Okay,
And start moving forward.
okay,
And so that way, if you do it that way, the students will still stay on the campus.
right,
It's only if you start launching
right,
buildings that, where you try to renovate at the same time, where language use would become an issue. But right now, I think the plan is to start at the back and move forward. Well, that requires, obviously, displacement of the football and some of the other things, but those are things that still have to be worked out.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe it was a few years back, but I thought the city of Round Rock and the ISD were going to go in cahoots and build an auditorium together. This kind of sounds like it's not really going to meet the needs going forward for very long.
Well, even back in 2014, there was discussion of mandatory. The swimming community was very, very supportive and was advocating for mandatory. So what happened, right before I left, we set up a feasibility study. And the feasibility study said, okay, City of Round Rock, what can you gain from building an auditorium, school district, what would you gain? What are the pros and cons, I should say, and the why was also involved. So that process went through, and they were all kind of going in the same direction at that point in time. In 2017, there was an auditorium on that lawn, and as you well know, 127 did not pass. In this current cycle, the natatorium did come forward again, but the concern was, when people talk about natatorium, it can be a major investment, and so when the board started looking at more so what are the actual needs that the school district needs to try to take care of, and it had to do more with an environment that was safe and comfortable for swimmers. And so that's why they pared it down to that facility. It's not going to be air conditioned. It's going to be basically what they call passively climatized, meaning that they have vents and so forth where the wind or the environment will help to keep it at a certain temperature. I believe it does have heating, but not air conditioning. They'll open up garage doors and swim. But
So it's going to be covered or it's not going to be covered?
it's going to be covered.
It's going to be covered.
Yeah, it is going to be covered, but it's not going to be, like I'm saying, air conditioning where you close everything and it's set at a certain temperature. It's going to be through pushing wind or
That will only be in use for the students.
I'm sorry?
It's only going to be in use for students, and I see the competition, but whereas the natatorium was going to be something that the whole community could have used.
Well, the intent, from what I understand, is the intent will be to try to bring in other groups other than just the swimmers, like for example, maybe bring elementary kids and take advantage of the pool. As to how much community use, I really don't know, I can't really say. Swimmers for the most part swim year-round. They usually use the facility quite a bit. But again, I would say, remember, the city has some influence as well for the community. So it's kind of one of those things where a lot of times we did not have access to them because they were for the community. So, and this will help us now to try to control a little bit of what our swim teams can do.
I'll say, I'm Rita Robinson, I work for Community Relations, I'm the video service manager. We have a few other videos on bond.roundrockisd.org, one of them being this one practice facility, another being CD Folks, and we have 4 other videos as well. But with this one practice facility, it would be, the plan is for it to be large enough that you would have at least 2 or 3 or you can have 2 or 3 teams to be able to compete at the facility, if that makes sense. So it wouldn't be just, it wouldn't be so small that you wouldn't be able to have competitions there. It's just, it wouldn't be the full size of the net.
I was just thinking that it would be more beneficial that the whole community, that the community was in on it too. There's an natatorium and it would be a multi-use facility for the people around the high school. And I support that. This seems to be, I understand why you're doing it, cost-wise and everything. My daughter was on swim for a long time, so I have a little bit understanding of the whole situation, but I'm just disappointed. Is what it ended up. It doesn't seem like it's going to move in the direction for them now to include that and actually something separate.
If I can expand on that a little bit, the city currently has no plan to pursue an natatorium. The partnership between the city, YMCA, and the school district was something that was in the talks, but no entity could really come to an agreement of how we can get this thing going, and more importantly, who's going to service it. Natatorium is pretty expensive year over year to service. One way to look at this is it's an equity issue. So, like Miro mentioned, the westward side of the district has got Waterloo indoor facility. Stony Point uses an indoor facility at Chaska YMCA. Cedar Ridge currently uses Lake Creek it's, their facilities are lacking quite a bit. Round Rock uses Cresbot to, again, expose the elements, and that's something that they acclimate themselves to, but, when you have competitive swimmers on the other side of the district who are getting to swim and practice in certain facilities, it becomes an equity issue, and,
I understand all that, I get it, I'm just disappointed, I was really hoping the natatorium would go through. I come from a state, I have lived there for many years, but I come from a state where, that type, we had natatoriums all around, they're well used, and, schools could use them, and neighborhoods could use them, and it seems to be a good use of money, but here, it seems like it's a leadership issue in a lot of ways, because they were supposed to build another rec center, and they got approval for that, and never did that, we're stuck with the one that's overused, and they have a swimming pool in it, but, so, I know you have a lot to discuss, we can move on, not just to say.
A lot of it had to do, there was an equity issue from that perspective. Again, part of what they're looking is price tag. Is that $580 million is more than what we had in the bond elections.
Well, I think people got a little disappointed in past bonds where, they built that huge football stadium that's very underused, and I've never seen it full. That was really a big ticket item. There were some other things, I think that was kind of a reaction.
I appreciate that. I believe, where is high school number 6 going to be? Well, the way that it was originally programmed was going to be at Pearson Ranch, where there were England Elementary and the new Pearson Middle School is. Do you know where Summer Elementary is? No. Okay. Off of 45, you can see a bus barn. All right. I don't know if you've ever seen the bus barn to your right off of 45. It's on the part of it. You know 620?
Yes.
You know 620?
Right. Yeah. Sign over says down Iron Bus Drive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the general area. Okay. So that was originally where they had looked at starting programming for the high school. They started looking at plans, trying to develop plans and so forth. So right now, that was the main location where they were kind of favoring, if you will. And I say right now because I understand that I came on board in July, so I'm kind of talking past tense here. Part of the bond program then, there was a couple of board members that mentioned do we need to look at that again or not. So that's why I'm kind of edgy. But the thought process right now would be that it's in the Pearson Ranch area, which is right off of 620 and 45. Okay. Yes, sir.
What is the term of the bonds? Is it 20 years?
25 years.
25 years?
Yes. By law, we can do 40, but we do 25.
Okay. I didn't quite understand when you was talking about the Robin Hood, we're talking back 32 million, I think.
Right.
And that does not, a bond sale does not affect how much you have to still give back to the state, or it does?
No, it doesn't. The point is that Robin Hood doesn't apply to the debt service, which is the bonds. It only applies to the 104, the maintenance and operation part of the house, the 104 part of the tax rate. So any money that, the way this works, if the bond election passes, we sell bonds, we get money to be able to start building stuff. So that incurs that debt. That part of the house, any money that we get from the sale of bonds, any interest that is earned, stays to pay for those projects.
Bond money. So what money services that debt to pay off the bond?
It's the INS side of the house. In your tax rate,
At 20.
the 2648.
Okay.
So that's what pays for the.
It's the non-bond money.
And that will pay the tax currently sufficient enough to pay for this 500 over the 25 years.
Right.
With the expected property value increases.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right. So if property values continue to grow, it allows us to be able to keep our rate the same rate. way we, like I said, it probably started at 180 million the first year. Well, that sets payments for that levy, 180. The next year we sell another 180, and that sets payments. So the payments are what we're tracking to make sure that the amount of debt that we have to pay every year will, the 2648, will be sufficient to pay for that.
Now, a related question. Is it possible to lower the tax rate so we don't have to give money back to describe what it is?
Okay, I should have waited for the total question. Unfortunately, Robin Hood, as long as you exceed the threshold of 515,000 per water, you're required to pay back. Whether we collect the taxes or not, the state expects the money back. And so that deal is on that side of the house, and there's no way to. The only way that we could do it is either the property values go down, or the 514 isn't anymore, we don't hit the 514, or population is massive growth, and so that allows them for that amount to come down, what we said. So one of those with you will have to happen. But on the other side of the one with the 2648 values would go up more than what we were projecting, it is possible that they will.
So could the rate go down if we do a bond?
I'm sorry?
Could the rate go down if we don't do a bond? So if we don't have debt to have to pay, could eventually the rates go down?
Well, that's what it said, yeah, the debt side would, potentially. The M&O side, unfortunately, unless the state fixes finance, that will never happen. And I'm telling you from the standpoint of the way the state formulas work, a school district would be hurting itself from a financial perspective if they lowered the tax rate. There's no incentive on the M&O side to do that.
Yeah, and the board has been more on the tax rate on the INS side.
Historically, after the last one, they did lower.
So the amount of tax we're paying is going down, and it could happen still, even with the issuance of bonds.
So what have y'all done with this bond for it to be different than the last bond that failed?
Well, I believe one of the things, and again, one of the things obviously one single proposition versus the last time was three. It's three. It was three.
Yes, sir.
The other thing that's a big difference, no high school 6. In 2017, there was a high school 6 in the mix. This does not have high school 6 in the mix. So those are two big differences. Transitory mandatory was also one of the propositions. Full-blown mandatory.
It was also, it was also $800 million, that was just pure sticker shock to a lot of us too. Like almost $1 billion in bonds.
No, it was 572 was the last one.
It was 572.
That's still sticker shock.
Is there ever any money left over for bonds?
There is, whenever, in fact, several programs, any leftover funds, bond 2008, there was surplus funds, meaning that projects were completed, but they were under budget, so that money stays in the bond fund. Can only be used for those projects that the board decides from a bond perspective. It have to be a category of projects, like if it's building, if it's technology, if it's buses, if it's anything that was in that proposition. But it has to be used for those types of items. They can't write a check to the general fund and say, here's the money. It has to be maintained.
Well, this bond is almost the same price as the last one. It's 500 million.
Yeah, it's 508 versus 572. Any other questions?
I had someone who asked me to ask a couple of questions, which I've asked some of them, but what about CD's historical? You know, I mean, it was obviously the original high school, it's been there for a very long time. So what does the district, and how does the city feel about it being torn down?
Well, that's part of the conundrum, because when you're looking at trying to have facilities similar to the other campuses that have, how much do you protect becomes the question. What parts of that facility can you, quote unquote, save? And in trying to look at it, are there ways that you might be able to cut out some items and kind of find a place where in a new facility? Those are still things that I think we're going to have to really, really look into. For example, there's a seal in one of the areas. Well, could that be pulled out and put like a marker in the front of the school? There's a possibility. One of the other kind of things it has wood floors. Well, how much do you how much weight do you give to one of people's wood floors versus how one might function in schools? So those are the things we're going to have to really, really discuss with the community, trying to get some input on all those things that we can salvage as a video set. Might be different ways to do it, but we'll have to think about how we get accomplished.
Add to that too. So last bond, it was CD folks would become a finance guy. So that meant straight from the school, we go in and do finance academy, essentially. This time around, the CBC district board got feedback from CD folks too. And one of the things came up that we were talking about, auditorium, some of the gym areas, the floors. The original CD folks is not, it's been added on to year after year. So it is a maze, it's a hodgepodge of hallways and cramped rooms, all kinds of stuff. But that was the plan last year. Now they listen to the community and are going to do, the plan is likely with phase construction where some of the school can rebuild and
They have one of the smallest band wireless. It's so small that we really can't put a good program in place in this area. And those are the kind of what I'm saying about the quality of the facilities that are needed to really have a good environment.
So if you built where the football field was first, then what do they do for football?
Well, then, that's one of the things we're going to look at is to how can we accomplish, can we put does it fit on the side, does it fit on the front, those are the things that they have to go through. We need to move that program where they can play on the field, adjacent field, but still have, some sort of practice facilities. It's kind of one of those things where it's a puzzle that we're still trying to answer all the questions. Any other questions?
Is there any money in here for like vocational education?
There's, I believe there was about $3 million that was set aside to expand programs, not facilities per se, but programs. A lot of programs that they're having now are, used to be like, when we talk vocational, you would think about auto mechanics, air conditioning, some of the more manual trades, but now it's getting further into kind of the engineering components. So those labs are equipped a little bit differently. The STEM part, the science, technology, engineering, math programs. So it's kind of revamping some of the programs for what is out there that students could actually make a living if they went through a program, got certificates, and were able to go into the working environment. They still have AC, they still have AC, they still have those programs. At some of the campuses, they have those programs already where they have the high base and so forth. But I think a lot of it had to do with, and again, that's another one that was different from what I remember in 2017, they actually had a career tech school that was part of that program as well. So, again, it's not in here, they opted to try to see if maybe they can develop the programs and then kind of assess what is it that we need to be able to provide those programs. But if I'm mistaken, I believe like $3 million in programs. Any other questions?
Where's the college, early college right now?
I'm sorry?
Where's the early college, where does it meet now?
It is adjacent to the Austin Community College campus, it's actually on the Austin Community College campus. They have portables as their school. And so...
Around our campus?
Yes, at the university. Yeah, Upper University. They're all, they have, I don't know how many portables they have out there.
You have the max number they can have. That's all I know.
Part of that is to try to have them a facility that, there's some difficulties for them because there are almost 200 students out there from what I remember in that neighborhood.
Yeah, so they're entering into their fourth year, is that correct? So this will be the first year that they actually have all 4 grades there. And the problem with that is they have an area similar to the size of this room for their cafeteria, if you will, which is fine. They'll split everything up, not all grades are in there at one time. However, if it's cold or raining, then you start to have issues because you don't, students usually eat outside to help relieve some of the space issues within the room. You can't do that whenever it's poor weather outside.
Yeah,
There's more to it than that.
A lot of the classes that they get up on the 4 year as well, most of the classes are at the university itself or the college. But as far as meeting areas, when they have to have we need to have a discussion for whatever the case may be, they don't have an area where they can bring a lot of students. And as Randy mentioned, for food, we actually have a truck that goes out there and provides meals for them. So it's not the best world for those students. If it rains, you have to find that little crook and cranny to be able to stay dry. So the idea is it gets a facility that allows them to be able to have like their lunch areas and meeting spaces for the larger group. So that's the intent, that it will have a facility appropriate for the number of students.
ACC has a master plan that they want to move forward with, and it so happens that where these portables are parked is part of where they're going to develop their master plan. They want to do it sooner than later. And these kids, there's about 10 or 12 portables out there for early college, high school. So this is an opportunity, because the program is growing, to put these kids in a brick and mortar building. And, they have potential sites right there. Apparently, studies show that the early college high schools around the country, they do better, have a better success rate if they're actually on a college campus. So you've got the seniors and juniors attending classes at ACC, freshmen, sophomores are in portables for the most part, and they get integrated. And these kids are graduating they're graduating with an associate's degree at college before they walk across the stage and get their diploma from high school. So it's really an important program for the district to expand on.
A lot of them are first-time family members, first-time college people that have gone first in the family to go to college, I should say.
What's the real difference between that and AP courses that you can actually graduate with an associate in high school versus this? I mean, what's the difference?
It's not the traditional student.
Compared
AP students are
high school success.
typically high achievers and
AP students are on the regular campus, and they can only get X number of credits through AP testing. Where most of the courses that these students have are kind of what's the word?
Dual credit.
They're dual credit. Dual credit.
How is it different than that success level?
Success is really, in this case, these students aren't behind. They haven't They haven't failed classes, they're pretty much up with their peers, if you will. Success is supposed to catch you up. It could be students that dropped out for a while and came back, and so they're having to catch up with their credits. So it's a different program that allows them to be able to catch up, to be able to graduate.
I guess I just don't understand why we have to have a separate high school.
It's two distinct programs that serve different
I get
levels.
that, but I mean, because we have all these AP classes, we get college credits. Now we're going to build another high school for early college.
I mean, it's not a high school, like, not a high school or senior year high school. It's a very small model. Yeah. It's giving students opportunities to succeed. That's the best way I can describe it.
Also, all of our campuses are at capacity. I mean, every seat is precious, and these are kids, like I mentioned before, they're not, I guess, education is no longer one size fits all. It was even when I was there, it's not anymore. There's different kids that have different needs, and this is something that addresses that. It also affordable schools to get a little bit of relief on their attendance levels in some cases, because they're drawing kids out of high schools as well.
Well, I just wonder when we stop building all these special high schools. Very costly. They're all special. It just seems, I don't really have this.
I think we can when we start growing.
Well,
When we stop growing, I want to fill up.
I don't think it's a matter of growth, I think it's a matter of direction. Very much that.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Honorable.
Appreciate it.